Merry meet Capricorn, Capricorn sun sign, rising sign, and or moon sign. This is a 2-week reading for all you Capricorns starting today, the 6th of July, 2023. We are streaming live on YouTube and on Twitch. Moderating today on YouTube is the lovely Honeypaw, and moderating on Twitch is the lovely Diane. Thank you so much, Honeypaw. Thank you, Diane. And thank you to everybody for joining us, Capricorns and friends of Capricorns. I'm reading, before I forget, if you're watching this on a YouTube restream, not live obviously, but on a restream, if you don't want to watch me shuffle, you can use the timestamp to fast forward right to the reading. Today I'm reading with this Maria Celia Tarot, and I have already purified with this beautiful Aqua de Colonia Concentrada by Alvarez Gomez. You can find out how to purchase both of those products in the video description of this video on my YouTube channel. Like I said, 2-week reading, all you Capricorn sun sign, rising sign, moon sign, whether you're watching live or on a restream. That does go out to a lot of Capricorns eventually. So if for some reason it doesn't seem to apply to you personally, just disregard it because it's probably not meant for you. In that case, you might want to check out the zodiacal readings for your other signs. Remember that we have a general reading for all signs, and also we have a pick a card weekly reading for all signs every Sunday evening that comes out for the week ahead. So you can find all of those restreams on my website at ariels-corner.com. Just click on the free tarot readings link in the menu. If you'd like to give us a donation, you can go to paypal.me/arielgatoga, paypal.me/arielgatoga. If you're watching live on YouTube, you could donate by giving a super sticker or super chat on the chat thread. And if you're on YouTube on a restream, you could do that by using a super thanks. We have a shop, and that's at arielscornershop.com, arielscornershop.com. You can find all kinds of tarot decks there and other magical items. Those are all affiliate links, which means that we make a small commission off of each and every sale. I don't read with card reversals, so you'll see me flipping those cards right side up. That's just how I like to read. I promise that all is well. All right, Capricorn, this feels pretty shuffled. Let's do one more just for good measure. I'll give this deck a nice clean cut, and then we'll see what's in the cards for these next couple weeks for all you gorgeous Capricorns, shall we? Yay! We've got the Queen of Swords in the rear view mirror where she belongs, Temperance card, and the 10 of Coins. Yeah, you talk about a turnaround, my goodness. So you were cynical, weren't you? Weren't you now, Capricorn? Some of you were anyway. Some of you have been a little cynical. So maybe some of you have been a little teeny bit cynical. Some of you have been a lot cynical. There's also been this kind of underlying current for many of you of sort of dissatisfaction with people in general, not trusting people, not liking people, criticizing people. Some of you have been turning that on yourself. Instead of being that way cynical and disliking other people, you've been mean to yourself. Either way, it's just not fun, is it? When the Queen of Swords decides to play around with us. And I think a lot of you are understanding that it's not something that's necessary. When the Queen of Swords, that cynical attitude, kind of rears its head in our personality, if we are aware of it and we see it for what it is, we can abolish it just by being aware of it, just by noticing it. And it looks like many of you have done that because, boy, it doesn't look like she's bugging you today. It looks like you're going to the opposite in a way. Although this doesn't really have an opposite. The Temperance card represents that divine angelic force in your life that brings balance, harmony, and equilibrium to every aspect of your body, mind, and affairs. This is that peaceful state of being where all healing can happen. It's a very celestial vibration, and it's a gift, and you are receiving that gift. I call this little potion that this angel is mixing up the angelic elixir. And I like to think of that elixir as being something that's very unique unto you. that's made by your very personal guardian angel. And the reason why I like that image is because it reminds us that as souls, we have very specific roles to fill here, each one of us, very specific needs. You can't piggyback on somebody else's, healing or somebody else's angel necessarily, because you've got things that you need that nobody else needs, the way that you need to express yourself that nobody else needs to do. And your angel understands all of that. What I call your angel, that's that force, that guiding force for good that is always watching out for you and is always there to help. And it can't force itself on you. So it's just sort of there in potential until you say, yes, please. And it looks like some of you are saying, yes, please. If you aren't, give it a try. I even have a meditation based on this card, of the Temperance card, called Healing with the Angelic Elixir. And if you have time, you may want to give it a listen and see if it isn't a nice optimization for you for this energy that you're experiencing. See, the thing is when we are in that peaceful state, that harmonious state of being, that's akin to the natural state of our soul. And when we're in a state that's akin to the natural state of our soul, then we are open, receptive, and magnetic to everything that our soul desires for us. And our soul is the purest expression of our divine nature that there is. And it knows what it wants. It knows what it's here to do. It knows what its mission is. It knows what it's here to accomplish. And it knows how to do it in wonderful ways that to the ego mind seem very unusual, miraculous, and even scary, right? But to the soul, it's not scary at all. So a lot of times when people say, well, why doesn't my angel just heal me? Well, if the angel just healed you, your ego might freak out because it's so scary. So we have to allow that angelic energy to meet us at our level where we are, and be willing to increase what our level is so that we can receive more and more of that healing in whatever form needs to happen, that in ways that doesn't bring up that fear. Right? So my tolerance for divine love is increasing. That's a nice affirmation for you. My tolerance for divine love is increasing. All right, so this 10 of coins is saying, boy, it's a good thing to have a high tolerance for divine love because it can also equal cash. The divine manifestations aren't only invisible. Divine manifestations are manifest. And divine manifestations can manifest in all kinds of ways. Now, if there's a definite use for you to have sums of cash to further your soul's work here, you better believe that cash is there. It's just never going to be so much cash that it gets you off your path, but it's always going to be more than enough. So that's another thing to increase your tolerance of. I can increase my tolerance for infinite abundance, financial abundance. And what that does for you, if you increase your tolerance for financial abundance, then you're willing to use that money on behalf of your soul rather than on behalf of your ego. So there's no more greed attached to it. There's no more fear attached to it. You're not misusing money. And so if you're not misusing it, then the soul gives you more of it so that you can have more resources, right? If your ego is trying to get money, it's a whole different game. When the ego tries to get money, it does whatever it needs to do to get cash because it's based on fear. And so it has nothing to do with financial abundance. It's just get me money. And some people can accumulate huge sums of money that way, billions of money that way, but that doesn't mean they're prosperous. They may have a lot of money, but very many of those people that have accumulated money through the ego are miserable and in the most poverty-stricken of all of them. Even though they're poverty-stricken within those huge mansions with beautiful clothes and things like that, they are miserable. But that's not what the soul's journey is. The soul says, no, let's not use money that way. We're going to use money on behalf of our purpose here as souls. And therefore, money is always abundant in ways that are good for me, and good for the world. So you can have a lot of money, but the way that money manifests and what it's used for and its purpose is very, very different than the kind of money that than the way that the ego will try to amass those fortunes. Okay, we've got speaking of fortune, we've got the Wheel of Fortune, we've got the Four of Cups, and we've got the King of Swords over here. Now, the King of Swords, I don't love this because, he and the Queen are really bad partners. Luckily, they're facing away from each other, so they're not in communication because she's in the past, but he's trying to abscond with your future, and the only way out of that is by saying no to it, because the one thing that the ego mind, the one and only thing that the ego mind cannot withstand is your indifference to it. So when you notice your own tendencies of not wanting to take any prisoners, of just being mean for the sake of being mean, of feeling super justified in any kind of cruel behavior, and that includes cruel behavior towards yourself. When you notice that, you just notice it for what it is. Oh, King of Swords. He's being a brat today, and I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play. I'm going to go right straight to that angelic elixir, and I'm going to lean into this Four of Cups, which is my spiritual discipline. I'm going to lean into that spiritual discipline because that spiritual discipline wants to bring you all of this prosperity. That the King of Swords wants to abscond with all of this prosperity. He either wants to destroy it altogether, which would be fine, or take it and get you to start to look at that financial prosperity through the eyes of fear and the ego rather than seeing it for what it is. And that's a divine gift from the infinite intelligence so that your soul's journey can be as complete as possible here. So this Wheel of Fortune says that things are wanting to speed up, things are wanting to grow for you. Your good is wanting to grow. And as the faster that wheel spins, the more that fortune grows. And we just want to make sure that we're in the center rather than on the perimeter, because the more centered we are, the less volatile the experience is. But the Queen and the King of Swords want you on the edge here, because if you're on the edge of this, then the volatility is going to get you to not think clearly and to not remember your spiritual discipline, not to remember who you are as a soul, and is going to get you off center so that they can swoop in and destroy your good for you. Because that's what they're programmed to do. That's what the ego wants. The ego is programmed to self-destruct. And so when we are in very prosperous experiences, when we are in very spiritually uplifted experiences, the ego wants to shut it down. It's just, it's like clockwork. And so a lot of times when the ego shows up, especially if you can notice it, which I think most of you can, because it looks like many of you are working spiritually, having some sort of discipline. But if you can stay connected to this angelic energy, you'll always know when the ego is coming up. And when you notice that the ego is coming up, you can just realize that means something good is happening, or they wouldn't be trying to fight against it. If there was nothing to destroy, if there was no good to destroy, it wouldn't be activated. So if the ego is being highly activated, very frequently that means, oh, I must be on the right track. So I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to stay very clearly connected to my spiritual discipline, stay very centered. I'm going to work directly with that angelic force that is the force of my soul, and I'm just going to notice when that ego comes up and not and be indifferent to it. Just not allow myself to give in to any of those temptations, right? And my goals are holy, and so those holy goals include a lot of financial prosperity, whatever other kind of physical assets that are necessary for your work to be done. And it's okay if it's a lot of money. If there's a lot of money, that's okay, as long as it's your spirit and your soul and your angel that are working with it, and not your ego, because your ego will use that money to hurt you, and the angel will use that money to further your work here. So it's a constant moment by moment decision making process that we make. So leaning into that spiritual discipline, leaning into those skill sets is the way to go, and not succumbing to that ego mind. You're going to do great, Capricorn. This like I said, you obviously doing well, or the ego wouldn't be rearing its head. But just do be aware that it's there, so that you don't are caught unawares and get pulled into their game. If you do, it's okay, because you can always come right back to the angel. And the cool thing about angelic intervention is it can undo any of the damage that the ego's done. So just keep coming back again and again, and don't be too hard on yourself. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you so much to the amazing moderators, Honeypaw and Diane. We will see you in 2 weeks. Capricorn, blessed be.